Will Stargate be ruined by Amazon executives? Possibly. Welcome to Sci-Trek, your sci-fi TV and movie channel. So, I look at as many of my comments on the channel as I possibly can, and I get a lot saying basically that if Stargate is announced, it will be destroyed by a woke Hollywood. Now, if you are a regular Sci-Trekker, you'll know I hate that term. I don't like it. I actually think most sci-fi should be awake to things like racism, sexism, the struggles of the transgender community, etc., etc. That actually sci-fi is at its best when it's awake to these problems and when it uses the metaphor of sci-fi to actually talk about these things. But Amazon, particularly recently, has made a couple of TV shows that aren't the best and aren't exactly loved by the fans that so wanted these projects done. Lord of the Rings of Power is the obvious one and that I get the most comments about, but also things like Wheel of Time. Both of these projects had really serious problems from day one that actually then did really give a lot of the hardcore people that shout woke an awful lot of ammunition to throw at the projects. Both of these TV series were really hated by quite a lot of people before they were even aired. And I do not want to see that again for Stargate. Now, I just did a video talking about how I want Brad Wright to be involved in some way to also calm down a lot of the audience and, make us, all gators, feel a lot safer about the project Amazon are pushing forwards with. But does Amazon really have a history of making woke television or movies? Well, we could argue that all day, and I don't really want to get into it. But do the people that shout woke at these things actually have a point? Well, to be honest, yeah, a bit. There has been an awful lot of negativity around Hollywood and an awful lot of realizations about what Hollywood really is. Hollywood has been incredibly sexist over the last, forever. It's been incredibly racist forever. And things like the Me Too movement really shone the deplorable behavior of a lot of people in Hollywood, demeaning women, demeaning anybody of color, and so on. Now, I actually think some projects, since the Me Too movement, etc., have overcorrected. They've actually gone too far the other way in trying to, tell us how wrong all of this was. There's also been massive problems in the United States about race. The country really is divided in lots of ways, and writers have talked about that. The problem is they've talked about it badly. Instead of being subtle, using metaphors, and instead of getting their message across in clever ways, they've been like a sledgehammer. They have actually hit the nail firmly on the head like a nuclear weapon, and that has ruined quite a few projects. Now, people will say things like, oh, this shows virtue signaling again. I actually don't think that's a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when it's done badly. And again, as I say, when it's done like a nuclear weapon going off in your face rather than in the subtle ways it's done when it's done well. Writers have always virtue signaled. Writers have always and will always put their feelings and what they believe into their work. Star Trek has always been kind of woke. It's always tried to virtue signal. It's always tried to say, this is what the best mankind can be. We should be aspiring to this. It is virtue signaling, and it's not subtle. But it was well written. It was well put together. And actually, most of the time, the things it was trying to talk about were done through the medium of sci-fi and done well. A lot of other people say that, well, this is about politics. Again, though, Hollywood has always had stories and movies, etc., that you can really call propaganda. They were funded in part by the government a lot of times. The medium of movies, television, now social media, etc., are used by people to get their agendas across. That's always been the way, and it always will be. Now, whether that's right or wrong, you could argue again till the cows come home. I would say personally, it's a grey area. But when those agendas, when those political ideologies, and when that virtue signaling is so obvious you can't actually get past it or see the point of the story behind it, then yeah, there's a problem in Hollywood. I would argue that is a lot of the time down to just bad writing or laziness. I actually think there's a serious problem in Hollywood that there's just too much television being made, that they don't have the time to actually produce quality anymore. It's all about the quantity. But movies, television, social media, it is a very powerful tool. It does change the way we think. It does allow us to think about these things in different ways. It does help us to understand that the race issue in America and really all over the world is still a major problem and something that we need to tackle. The transgender issue at the moment is a major problem. We need to talk about it. And look, I'm going to be hand on my heart here, 100% honest. I don't understand the transgender issue. I don't understand a lot of the gay and lesbian problems in the world. I don't care if somebody's transgender, gay, lesbian, or anything. I don't understand when somebody really wants to be non-binary. But the fact that I don't understand it is why we need to talk about it. Now, I don't judge anyone. I never have done. I have made too many mistakes in my life to even have the right to judge somebody. But I want to understand the problems that these people are talking about. I also want to understand why my mate Mikey, who is a black guy, keeps getting stopped by the police, and I've never been stopped even once. These are massive problems, and sci-fi is a great medium for exploring them and hopefully teaching us something along the way. But it needs to be done well. It doesn't help anybody when it's done badly. So will Stargate get ruined by woke Hollywood? Well, if Mark Fergus or somebody along that line, a fan of Stargate, actually does showrun this, then I think hopefully we'll get something good. Because I do tell you this one thing, Amazon, they tend to buy shows. I'm told they don't actually influence shows a great deal. They will put a team in that they want, and then they kind of let them get on with it. So if we get the right team, we will get a good show. There will be hardcore people that will shout woke at Stargate, regardless of what the show is like. And you'll be able to tell these people because they'll start shouting it well before the show is ever released. Ignore them. Watch the show with an open mind. Watch the show when it is finally aired and make your own opinion. Because at the end of the day, even if this series is woke, even if it tackles transgender issues, has non-binary characters, has characters from every country on the planet, as long as it's written well, as long as they have good stories, and as long as at its heart, it's still Stargate, it's going to be a show we can adore. Now, guys, get into the comments and tell me exactly what you think about this little rant. How wrong am I? How right am I? Do you actually think that maybe I'm underestimating the problem in Hollywood? Or actually, am I overestimating it? A lot of people will say, look, Hollywood's just Hollywood. It's the way it is. It's the way it always will be. Please get into the comments and tell me exactly what you think about this very difficult subject. If you are new to the channel, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. It really helps us out and you'll never miss any of our new videos. Also, you can go to patreon.com/SciTrek where most of our new videos air first. And for a small contribution each month, you get to see them without the adverts. As always, please stay safe and I'll see you next time.